motion today, but I would hope that we would continue to push our congressional leaders to do what's right and not hold individuals and their families hostage over political maneuvers being made by both sides. And I know that I was just told that the Republicans are going to be introducing something on Tuesday to address this issue. And it's my hope that, and I'm sure it will be bipartisan, it is my hope that this gets signed and we can stop this, because when I see and hear what I've seen on the news, it breaks my heart. And we talk about trauma for our youth that come into our foster system, the trauma that these children are facing coming into a foreign country, being put into a situation where they are not with their parents, not knowing the people around them, the impact that it's going to have on them later in life, I can only imagine. So with that, again, especially, I do support this. I really do applaud your leadership on it, and I will hope that my party will do the right thing. And I am confident, and I will make my calls, telling them that if they don't, I will continue to not play politics, but call them out. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Hahn.
I don't think there's any one of us that hasn't been appalled by what we're seeing. And again, kudos to our media, who is finally actually covering this. They're actually there in the detention centers. They're actually getting footage, and as we heard, audio of little 2-year-olds crying out for their moms and their dads. When I was in Congress, I also went and looked at one of these detention centers, and in the best of scenarios, they're a bad place to be. But the thought that they're ripping children away from their parents is really so just intolerable. And I was thinking about the rabbi's invocation this morning, and he said there's only one thing worse, quoted someone, there's only one thing worse than prejudice and bigotry, and that's silence. And I think what we're doing today is speaking up and saying that it's not okay, and that it really does not reflect the values of this country and who we are as Americans. And there is no crime in coming to this country and asking for asylum. That is not a crime. You are not a criminal when you come and ask for asylum. That is something that we allow. That is something we encourage. That is okay to do. And for them to be treated like criminals and have their kids taken away is really a terrible thing. I do think there are some of those in your party, Supervisor Barter, who have spoken up and who are actually speaking out and going against this administration's policy on this. And I think it's been interesting watching the dance by this administration on why this policy exists or it's being implemented like this at this time. First, it was because it was a deterrent, that maybe we could just rip kids away from their parents. It will deter others from coming to this country. Then the Bible was quoted as a reason that this policy is being implemented. Then it was the Democrats' fault, and then it was like, actually, this policy doesn't exist at all. So we've been hearing a lot of excuses, but the truth is that this policy is cruel and it's heartless, and it does not represent the values that this country was founded on. I made one friendly amendment, which I believe was accepted, that we also at the same time send this letter to our congressional delegation, and I also asked to have it sent to Jeff Sessions, and also asking for funding to be appropriated for more asylum judges, because I also think that it's also cruel and inhumane how long that the backlog is to be even seen. And some of them are children that need to be before a judge. So I just added that. I might as well ask expressing our huge disappointment in this policy being implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Ridley Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair and colleagues. The act of separating children from their parents is practically incomprehensible. Beyond that, I declare today that it is, for all intents and purposes, immoral. And I want to assert with every fiber of my being that we should do everything possible to push back on the purveyors of this form of inhumanity. Many people fled for a variety of reasons, call it poverty, call it violence, their home countries, traveled under unspeakable conditions, only to have their children ripped away from them. I simply want to say that it feels like the impact on these young lives is not temporary, but potentially lifelong. In other words, permanent. Spent a lot of time talking about trauma-informed work and interventions. I can't imagine anything more cruel, unusual, unjust, even if it's federally sanctioned, than what we are contending with at this point in time in American history. The forcible separation of children in this way causes toxic levels of stress that can cause irreparable harm to the structure of developing brains. This in turn leads to other long-term adverse health outcomes such as heart disease, mental and behavioral health issues. Some even observe premature death. Why am I asserting this? Not simply because this is an uninformed set of remarks. Go to the American Academy of Pediatrics. Go to the American Public Health Association. Go to the National Association of Pediatric Nurse Practitioners, among many other health organizations who have declared themselves in opposition to this policy of separating children in this godforsaken
The 170 is right. That's a judge.
With your permission, Supervisor Solis and Supervisor Kuehl, I'd like to offer this amendment that we instruct the directors of the health agency, that is the Department of Mental Health, Department of Health Services, Department of Public Health, to participate in any visitation of shelters where the children are being detained to deliver trauma-informed care and other services as appropriate, to ensure that all county departments dealing with this issue are delivering services that are trauma-informed in a manner that mitigates the impacts of trauma for these children, as well as for their caregivers, families, and other county residents who may be impacted. Madam Chair, colleagues, I so move.
Supervisor Solis.
Yes, these two amendments are both acceptable, and I thank my colleagues, and I especially want to thank all of you for your sentiments. This is something that is just driving a stake through, I think, the heart of our country at this moment. And I'm reminded of where I was several years ago, back in my days as a House of Representative. I was able to serve on the Office of Security and Cooperation in Europe, known as the Helsinki Commission. And under the Fourth Geneva Convention, it maintains that we're also a part of this so-called convention, an affirmative duty to avoid separation of family members and the maintenance of family unity. In fact, the Fourth Geneva Convention also requires it whenever possible, intern members of the same family shall be housed together in the same premises.
You need to know that
The
too.
United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights declares that everyone has the right to seek asylum from persecution,
I want to give
and that no one should be subjected to torture or to cruel or inhuman treatment. I would just point out to the members of the board and to the audience, the photos that you see depicting these children and their families, in my opinion, is inhumane treatment. And we are falling short of our commitment to uphold the Fourth Geneva Convention. So I ask us to move expeditiously and move this item as amended by both board member Supervisor Thomas and also Supervisor Arthur, and ask for concurrence
Having the evidence
movement
is
on
one.
this item.
Thank you, Madam Executive.
Is another.
Please call, Executive Officer, please call speakers on this. 3 invited speakers first, and then those in the public.
Would the following individuals please come forward when you hear your name? Isaac Brothers, Mariana Magamia, and Judy London. Please come forward. The staff will proceed.
It's going to be fun after this. Grand jury.
Welcome.
Some of the following deals at the grand jury.
Please go ahead. Good morning.
And Board of Supervisors for addressing the nightmare of family separation taking place
Come on, give us
right
a
now
close-up
at our
there.
southern border. I direct public counsel services on this project, and for over 30 years,
I'm at
we've
the
been the
limit.
region's largest provider of pro bono legal services to asylum seekers. We strongly support the supervisor's motion today.
And public
Because of the nature of this humanitarian crisis, we have struggled to tell this story.
This is really
We
important.
seek to avoid re-traumatizing our clients by putting them in the glare of the media. And yet we want to set the record straight on why Central Americans are coming to our southern border. They are fleeing for their lives. It is that simple. One of our clients is a child who at age 13 was gang raped. After she spoke to police about the attack, the gang threatened to kill her.
Bad
She
enough on
fled,
adults.
pregnant, and ultimately was released by our government at the age of 14 to the Los Angeles area, without any guidance on where or how to have her unborn child. We also represent a mother and her 4 children. A gang executed the father in front of the family, as the father did not want the gang outside of his home. The gang then held the mother and children hostage for weeks before this family was able to flee to the United States. By the grace of God, our clients arrived before the administration began its zero-tolerance border policy. Imagine what it is like today. Families like those I just described are lining up to seek asylum at the border, only to be lied to and told that the U.S. no longer offers asylum. Having no other choice, they enter the country unlawfully and immediately turn themselves in to seek asylum. But instead of being given access to asylum protections, they find themselves in a nightmare they could not have even conceived of. Our government is criminally prosecuting these asylum seekers and then using that tactic to justify tearing children from their parents.
Thank you very much. If you have a longer written statement, we'd be happy to take that and make it part of the
I
record.
just have one more comment about the legislation pending that the Republicans have brought to Congress and that will be debated this week. I want to make it clear that you cannot support reuniting families and support this Republican legislation. It will only make permanent family separation, and
Thank you.
it will destroy what is left of our asylum protections. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Mariana Magamia, and I'm here representing the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, also known as SHIFA. On behalf of the organization, I would like to thank Supervisor Elder Solis and Supervisor Kuhl for taking action on this extremely important and urgent matter. Founded in 1986, SHIFA is a California leader with national presence who serves the immigrant community through civic engagement, community education, organizing, the provision of legal immigration services, and advocacy. Today, we are here to voice our support for the motion introduced by the supervisors that addresses the separation of children and families at the U.S.-Mexico border. In May, the United States Attorney General announced a zero-tolerance policy stating that the U.S. Department of Justice would start prosecuting any individual who attempts to illegally cross the U.S.-Mexico border. The announcement of this policy has led to the separation of families, where children are now being held in cages in inhumane conditions while they wait to reunite with their parents. Additionally, in recent reports, there has been numerous cases involving federal officials' verbal, physical, and sexual abuse of these children, as well as violations of federal law, policies, and international law. Most recently, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights condemned the separation of families occurring at the border. The practice by this administration, which continues to rip our babies from their families, is what we highly condemn and will continue to actively push back against. The criminalization of our community searching for better life and safety must end. The violence and trauma inflicted by this administration must end. Our children should not be used as deterrent policy to further advance this administration's racist and xenophobic agenda. So today, once again, we applaud the efforts taken by Supervisors Solis and Kuhl and respectfully ask the LA County Board of Supervisors to support this motion and continue speaking up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you so much. My name is Cuevas. I am the Associate Director of Immigration Affairs, and I'm here to read a statement from Archbishop Jose Gomez, the leader of the Catholic Church in Los Angeles, and I will apologize in advance because anybody who's been to one of Archbishop's homilies knows he likes to go a little long, so I've been trying to phrase this as shortly as I can. Statement from Archbishop Gomez. The law is teacher, and so is the way we enforce the law. So what lessons are we teaching at our nation's most southern border? The pictures are dramatic, and they fill you with sadness and anger. Immigrant children, some barely old enough to walk, some infants still in their mother's arms and are being torn away from their undocumented parents as they try to cross the border. It's hard to write these words, and I cannot believe that this is happening in our country, but this is where 25 years of bipartisan failure on immigration reform has led us to. We're a nation where zero tolerance means no mercy. We seem proud to announce that we will no longer grant asylum to victims of domestic abuse and gang violence in the name of protecting our borders. Law is a teacher, and our leaders are delivering some harsh lessons these days. What should our Christian witness be in the face of our government's approach on immigration? We need to pray for wisdom and courage. We need grace to refrain from humanity, even as we confront the inhumanity of our policy leaders. Love is the measure by which we are judged, every one of us. The law of God, and no one is exempt. Our nation is judged finally by how it treats the weakest and most vulnerable. And our leaders have a solemn duty to secure our nation's border and to enforce immigration laws, but not like this. We need to find a better way. What we're doing now is wrong. St. Thomas Aquinas said that when human law does not reflect God's law, it becomes an unjust law and even an act of violence.
Thank you.
We support this measure. Please count on the Archdiocese to help.
And you could submit that letter for the record in its entirety.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please call the remainder of the speakers.
Will the following individuals please come forward when I call your name and staff will assist you? Mark Reed, George Garcetti, Daryl Cruz, Eric Previn, Victor Trujillo. Please come forward and
How you doing? One. Yeah. You guys are so professional, man. Really appreciate it. Somebody's professional.
Hi.
Thank you so much.
I am Daryl Cruz. And, to my mind, I seem to remember 8 or 9 years ago when the Democrats held every federal bill that had the House, Senate, presidency, and they could have done something, but they didn't. They realized there wasn't anything they could do. It's a difficult subject. People have been working on it for a long time. Our current president has done everything he can do and continues to try things, and this is just another example of one of the things they're trying to do to get people to understand that we need to protect our borders, build a wall, and put up some regulations to stop being all these invaders. It's funny that these parents would do this to their children. And I don't remember any outrage from anybody, and politicians or anything, in 2007, it was June of 2007, when Ronnie Knowles was arrested in Corona for operating a marijuana dispensary. And his wife was arrested, and their money was taken, and their cars were taken, and his parents were taken to jail. And they did the same thing to the children then. They took them into protective custody, family child support. They took care of those kids, just like they're doing in Mexico, after those parents brought them all that way. Rather than, when I travel, I always try and get reservations before I go. When I went to Europe, Asia, Caribbean, Latin America, every time I identified myself and asked for permission to come in there. They give you the paperwork right on the plane. I don't understand why these people couldn't have gone to the embassy in whatever country they're from and say, hey, I'd like asylum. Why are they doing it this way? It seems damn near cruel and inhumane that they would do this to their own family. Thank you.
No. Let me ask you.
They shouldn't boo at you, sir.
We're going to have a lot of testimony today on a lot of issues on the agenda. On bail reform, on jail, on cannabis, on this item. There will be things with which you don't agree and things with which you do agree. But the rules of the House are, we do not boo and we do not applaud. If you want to signal you like something, please do this. If you want to signal you don't like something, you can do this. But do not disrupt our proceedings, because then you will just be disrupted when you're speaking. And that's what we're talking about here. This is how the whole damn thing starts. It's just with one person against another that don't agree.
I'm going to run it to her.
So in this room, please listen, signal silently if you like something or not, but please do not interrupt each other. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Mark Reed. I'm a congressional candidate, and what I hear today is, yes, the compassion is admirable about this motion. However, the way in which you're presenting it in a very partisan attack job on the current administration is appalling, because the immigration policies have failed for the last 40 to 50 years. When you talk about asylum, you're talking about every person that comes to the United States seeking protection because they have suffered persecution or fear that they will suffer persecution due to race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group or political opinion. What's happening today with the immigrants coming from South America and Central America and Mexico has nothing to do with these five. It has to do with the massive drug cartels killing people in the streets. For you to showing pictures up here that come from the Obama administration, the laws that were passed that have failed in separating children from their parents comes from the Clinton's administration. For you to be attacking this administration now for the failure of immigration is appalling to me. Just because the four of you, and one's a Republican here, it's appalling to me as a citizen of Los Angeles County, a citizen of the United States, for a partisan hack job to be done about immigration when both parties have screwed it up in the last 60 years. You look at what's really going on the border. Okay, these coyotes are bringing teenagers across, female teenagers, saying, that's my kid. They turn them into bordellos. Have you ever seen the bordellos on the border where they're paying $20 to have sex with these teenagers? These things that you're showing up here is only the tip of the iceberg. What's going on and really going on with these people that are being brought across from Central South America and Mexico, being raped on their way here, being put into bordellos, forced to have sex at $20 a pop, is appalling. Separating children from certain parents that have not been charged with any crime, yes, I agree, is appalling. However, the majority of them are being separated from the people that are being brought across from the border because they can't prove that the child is their child, and they cannot prove that they have committed a crime. It's appalling.
Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Victor Trujillo. I look at this very, very serious because my parents, I come from immigrants. My mother lived off a stream, white complected, whole family's all white freckles. My dad, who lived in the forest, came here to this country back in the 30s, 40s. And now what I see now, what people are asking and saying, but in 1992, besides, I was in prison, and I remember before the Rodney King riots, they were going to kill 2,000 white men in jail. I was a representative inside that jail, and I actually was in prison. And I took care of it, made sure all the blacks did not touch these white men because they wanted to hurt the black men. It was a trick by politicians. And I'll tell you one thing, I was proud to be there as a father figure for these kids from Los Angeles that were all orphans, were taught to kill, just like gang members are sent across the country. I was involved as a child how they train gang members how to use these drugs, and it's all it's controlled by policing. And if we can't have a police environment, not by the police department, by communities, people that are involved in communities where they understand they observe these police objectives, where people are being told to go to other countries and they're destroying these towns. Why? For properties, for validating. They're trying to control and they're destroying these other countries, and they're destroying, just like back in the Central, back in the 70s, when Reagan was involved. 24 families asked, billionaire families, to destroy Central America. Why? Because these people can control their people. Now they're sending people down there, gang members, to destroy the people again. Now we're sitting here saying, oh, we need help. We do need help. But we need somebody to care, nonprofit groups that care for these kids, somebody to reach out and help these people and make sure we don't hurt these kids. Because I was a kid one time. I would never do that to a kid. Please stop this.
Thank you. Please call the remainder of the speakers.
Would Kirk and Gloria please come forward and stand for the pursuit?
Next speaker, please.
George Bazzetti, former Director of Policy for Core, California. Sheila Kuehl, you don't even know what rules you're running. Remember last week you said, we don't run under Robert's Rules of Order, so I go on my phone? Damn. You don't even know what's happening. Your council don't do nothing. And it starts at home. You treat our own people like trash. You're lying what goes on in the jails. You're trashing all the foster and disadvantaged youth. I have your own stuff, including back to 1983 with Sherman Block in the jails, you idiots. You just threw out all those SEIU people last week when they had one complaint to give it to privatizers, like charter schools. Do you know anything? When are you going to start caring about the 120,000? Believe me, I'm talking about human rights, because those people's human rights is being taken away like hell by this sociopathic group of which you are a part because of the sociopathy you allow your DA, social service, and mental health to do. Thank you very much. And they can clap. There's no decorum rules. Ask Holmquist. I gave him 7 pages of law. No. You want color of authority, bud? I'm a federal witness. That's life. Or 20 years like Manafort.
Is this on item, this item?
How about that?
Please go ahead.
Enough of that. Punks. I gotta make sure I get this ready.
Not only was it the same compassion that you have for the people and how they're being treated there is the same issues we have here in America. And the providers that are here are otherwise you're going to have this street run over everybody. You need to have exactly the same passion that you have for this issue for the American issues also.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Stop there on the clap.
It's Eric Krever from the 3rd District, and I agree that what's happening at the border is appalling. To take children away from families is extremely painful. And something that we know about here is this is where the Department of Children and Family Services is housed in our region, and it is always painful when there's these kinds of separations, and it's especially painful.
Look what I'm doing to the
when
judge.
people are not breaking the
Goodbye.
law or seeking asylum. So I just want to be very clear about that.
Look.
And I know that the Board of Supervisors has enormous, but we also face
Hired DA and
crisis
city attorney, too.
right here, right now, on June 6th, we heard about, we are 578,000 units short of affordable housing. And yet we continue to put up various luxury-ish like developments, and there are maybe 63,000 kids who go to LAUSD who are homeless. So, you know, I share all the board's support for roaring this town, but I think we have to take care of what we're doing right here in the county as well. And hopefully this horrible situation will be resolved quickly without children being separated from their families.
Thank you. I have a motion from Supervisor Solis, seconded by Supervisor Hahn. Any objection to unanimous vote on this issue? Seeing none, that will be the action.
Oh, okay.
As amended.
Right?
At this time, then, it's appropriate to hear from members of the public who have asked to address the board on items that are on the agenda today. So, Madam Executive Officer, please call the first members who signed up for more than one.
Would the following individuals please come forward when I call your name? Eric Previn has requested to address the board on the following items: 3D, 4D, 1, 2, 7, 8, 10, 13, 15, 16, 18, 20, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30, 32, 33, 34, 37, 39, 48, 52, and 61. Dr. Jevani
He knows his stuff, though.
requested to address the board on items 7, 18, 20, 28, 30, 31, 32, 37, 40, 47. Ricker Arson has requested to address the board on items 5, 8, 22, 32, 41, 52,
Yeah, she
53,
sold me out.
52.
I've known her for years.
Joseph Petty has requested to address the board on items 7,
Sold me out one
37.
time, I'm done.
Joe Maslish has requested to address the board on items 7 and 37. Lynn Lehman has requested to address the board on items 7 and 18. George Bassetti has requested to address the board on items 7, 31, and 53. And Victor Trujillo has requested to address the board on items 7 and 18. And Matteo Nagrassi has requested to address the board on items 7, 18, 37. And Mela Desires requested to address the board on all remaining items.
All right, please come up to the front, those who were called. First,
Okay, here we go again for more fun, huh?
It is incredibly worrisome. This process has been going on for a number of years, and the idea of reducing the population is not being platformed and put forward. Instead, we continue to circle around about the financing for this giant deal. Last week, or last month, Supervisor Solis and a group of Chinatown worth $24 million acquisition of infrastructure. Really should be instead it should really be used for servicing women who run child law. We do not want to send women from Los Angeles County to Maryland. It's not in today's item because it's been surgically separated because it is so abhorrent and appalling that nobody would ever agree with it. African American women, Filipino women, pregnant women are all vulnerable to valley fever, and worse, it takes an eternity to get there and back. So there's a high rate of recidivism likely in that kind of an environment. I just can't imagine why the board continues this way. And let's make the custody division manual available, Mr. Coleman. I know you know what I'm talking about. The custody division manual is important because of item 52 today, which is a human rights defense center at the city of Los Angeles. It took years.
As far as I see, I have 7, 31, and 53. So I like, and I 63, I'd like to say, can I have 2 minutes on public comments?
You want 2 on public comment?
And then I want to divide the rest, then 3 on, so it'd be a minute on each item, right?
Okay, so you have 1 minute to use, you have 5 minutes left. You just use 3 for this one, and
Right.
then
2 minutes for public comment.
3 for 1 minute. Because you already used the minute on 59.
That's good.
You want to do 2 here or 3 here?
1 minute for each item, and then 1 minute on public.
Okay, so you're going to get 3 minutes for this one, 1 minute for
Right.
this one.
Hey, thanks so much for doing that.
This is something we need to put into
So you just go ahead and have a seat right here, and I'll come right with you, okay?
Angeles County Board of Supervisors.
Really good, Mr. President.
I'm the Executive Assistant of the Los Angeles Community Partnership. Who are you going to give me on this?
How many items did you sign up for?
For 7 and 18 to support SB10.
And this was regarding what? This is all the items you signed up
Happens to
for.
defendants before the U.S. trial can have devastating and personal and legal effects. Awareness continues to grow with urgency for bail reform throughout Los Angeles and the state of California as a civil and human rights issue that needs to be addressed now. More than 40,000 prisoners who have not been convicted of a crime are being held in jails across the state, with roughly 8,500 regular in LA jails alone. The collateral expenses in LA County alone levied over $3.5 million against arrestees last year. Countywide, residents of Los Angeles, County Super Royal Districts 2 and 3 paid the most in money bail, resulting in having a disproportional burden and impact on Black and Latinx women and people with mental health disorders. SB10 will replace California's current money bail system with a pretrial system that utilizes and establishes a county-run pretrial services program as an alternative to money bail that will better ensure defendants who are released will make all future court appearances. The system has already been proven to be successful across the nation in states like Washington, D.C. and New Jersey. We urge you not only to pass this motion, but we welcome further discussion of the risk assessment piece in SB10, and also to use your positions as county leaders to encourage support from all LA delegation legislators. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
That was funny.
I think in favor of the reform bill act to make sure it's happening for suicide. In fact, that's the idea. But on item 20, Microsoft, I can ask them, how do we go from 3 million to 6 million? You know how I feel about information technology. I think that this steep increase. Maybe you can look at it why we went from 3 to 6 million. That's pretty dramatic as far as I am concerned. The other one I am very concerned about is the item on the jail in the Lancaster and so on. Yes, valley fever is an issue, but I was director of nurses in Bakersfield. We have valley fever too. That's not a good reason not to do it as a profession. Contrary to Then, item 47 is of great concern to me because recently it is an issue that for the air controller we have decreased the level of qualification in order to meet diversity and for hiring. That's very scary. I don't know about you, but when I fly, I will have the people who are going to be the air controller to know what they are doing. And that's a huge issue right now. Not only they have changed the level of requests and statistics, but they even give them the answer of the question on the test. So I am glad we are bringing that issue, and we have to make sure that we are indeed getting the right information. By the way, my name was Nazi After 15 years, I should know how to spell it.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Richard Watson, and I just want to let you know I'm here today because Sheila Tool's office is threatening with legal prosecution. And my mother,
I'll take you up in a minute.
the sheriff's office number that threatened me is available. And I'd like to know why you're threatening me. It's odd that I call up the health department and say I was raped by the deputy director of the health department. I'm promised a letter stating what happened. I give you the district attorney's evidence showing that he raped me in his own words. And then I'm informed that if I ever call any government agency ever again in perpetuity with my mother on the phone, that I will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Because I ask you not in an inappropriate voice, but an inappropriate question. I don't know how we got to this. I've talked to the executive office, I've talked to every single office I can, and I've been informed by the police, and again, I have the police's name and his phone number, I would do it here publicly, I don't think that's fair to him. Your office sent me to the sheriff's office for prosecution because I asked why my rape doesn't matter to the health department. I was raped by the deputy director of the health department. I'm being told that I call you, Miss, I don't know how to say your name, I'm sorry, I'm distracted. This is the thing, I've asked for extra time because I have schizophrenia and dysgraphia. I was hoping to get my mother on the phone. Why? Because she was on the phone when the police tried to explain to me that for the rest of my life and for the rest of her life and any family member is now no longer ever allowed to call any county office in perpetuity. And if you think I'm lying, I have the sheriff's office number and the actual person leaving me messages to that effect. How in God's name am I supposed to win against threats of what? Federal prosecution? State prosecution? Why am I being threatened by the sheriff's department? No, I called the LAPD and I asked them what to do. You know what they told me? Do they have a restraining order against you? And I said, no. I said, what would be the appropriate amount of phone calls to make? Let me tell you the question I was not allowed to ask. I asked the health department and the county of Los Angeles what their definition of rape was. After that, I was sent to the sheriff's office with my mother on the phone. Why? Because I was raped by my boss. And when I went to my boss, they laughed in my face and threw me out. And then I went to Simpson & Simpson. The daughter of the owner of the company, her three executives, begged for my job back. And the answer was, you don't deserve it. You're a scumbag.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Since you signed up for talking about things on the agenda, but you did not, we'll take care of your testimony in the public comment period.
And that is because you give me double time.
I gave you 3 minutes because you signed up for a lot of items you didn't talk on any of them.
I'm here because your office is informing me.
I understand that, but I'm just saying.
Are you denying that I've been blacklisted? Just deny it.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is
Wow.
Sit down in the audience again, please. I just said you use your time for public comment at this time, so it's okay. Thank you. You got extra time, you got 3 minutes.
No, I get 6 minutes.
No, you do not. Please, leave the dais. There are many people with disabilities who have come to testify. That is not something that you can claim. Thank you. Next speaker, please. Start Mr. Trujillo's time over.
Good morning. My name is Victor Trujillo. I'm talking about Measure 7, Senate Bill 10. For the bail, I think that's great. I was arrested and my bail was at $750,000. Basically, I lost all my properties and it was a very, very bad situation. And it's very, very depressing that somebody can take their kids out of jail, and it seems very, very harsh. But that's the only way you can use the system. But this bill basically it has to be reset. You know, society today, nowadays, people get arrested with their kids, and if there's a bail, you know, is there a bail for their kids? It changes the law. Basically, this law is only identifying individuals. It doesn't talk about families.
You're going to be. You're in public.
What's very interesting to me, because
you don't have a choice.
We're talking about immigration, and we're looking at family values. We should look at every bill that has anything to do with policing has to include family. Because now, looking at this today, everybody's going to have a family in the United States. It's sad to say that in China you can only have one kid, but in the United States you can have many kids as long as you can provide for them. And it's a very, very beautiful way of looking at life. The bill for Measure 18 for the cannabis, I feel that Consumer Business Affairs should not control the rules of law under the Board of Supervisors. It should be done by cities by families that live in those areas. If you're going to get people high on drugs, make sure you get them high, but make sure the communities work with these stores, not through the board of supervisors. I think that's pretty much the government's getting involved when they should have private entities deal with this. Non-profit groups, people that would help people that need cannabis, but not the board of supervisors. That is not a good rule. Please, we should look at this rule more carefully. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Lynn Lyman. Hello, Chairman Kuehl and supervisors. I'm here to speak first on item 7. Bail reform is one of the urgent issues of our day, and I think it's very appropriate that we're here on Juneteenth, which is June 19th, the day we celebrate abolition from slavery, and we're talking about bail, because today in LA County, over 8,000 people are behind bars and have not been convicted of a crime. Across the state, it's over 40,000. Across the country, it's 500,000 people sitting behind bars without having convicted a crime. They're too poor to make bail. That is why the vast majority of these individuals are there. They are predominantly people of color. They will likely lose their jobs, their homes, and even their children by this sudden removal from their families and communities. Thank you, supervisors, for recognizing LA County's role in this human rights issue and asking the county departments to advance reforms via your March 2017 motion. I also want to recognize all the hard work that the task force has undertaken, and especially the leadership of Sherry Gold, who was supposed to retire last year but continues to do this work. As you know, Senator Hertzberg has introduced Senate Bill 10 to drastically reform money bail and pretrial services. SB 10 is entirely compatible with the work of your task force. While SB 10 isn't perfect, it is a critical step in the right direction. And most importantly, it will ensure that public safety and court appearance are the only reasons for detaining someone pre-trial, not their wealth. In my last few seconds, I'd like to speak to item 18 on the cannabis report. I did serve on the cannabis working group for the county, and I urge the county to move forward with full regulation in all license types, including outdoor. Thank you.
Very
Thank you very
good.
much. Please call the additional speaker on this one. Would Chairman Chairman please come forward and request to address the board on all remaining items? All right, next speaker, please.
George Bazzetti. I got 2 minutes on all these issues. On the cannabis issue, 50 years experience. Yeah, it's about time. You want to buy a good pipe? Come to civilrightspipes.com and buy the best from the best. Do you realize they're trying to put me in the state mental hospital tomorrow because I don't know nothing and I bust these people? How about that for a laugh? You want to talk about the mental health? Don't laugh at that man before. Laugh at these people. They don't even know the law. You can clap all you want. You stupid attorney don't know the law. Now, who the hell do you think was involved in the bail bond stuff? Why, that was King Bail Bonds and Aladdin. And who do you think that was with Celeste IV on June 19th? Thank you, Celeste King, for 117 years of real civil and human rights. Not you people who run the filthiest jail, filthiest DPSS, filthiest mental health, filthiest DA, filthiest city attorney. Because, gee, here's a 170.6 that's going out today. Hey, city attorney, dude in the white hair, what's your name? Do you know what a 1424 is? And your bar license is going down today, fool. That's right. You want to break the law, fools? You, Hahn. You soulless who laugh at me over murders. You're trash. Your mental health is trash. And having to do with Sentinel Valley High School, I find that's the funniest damn thing of all. Who has the picture of the month for knocking out that superintendent, fools? Me! Remember the thumbs down picture, people? Huh? And you're going to send me to the funny farm? You need to go to Division 95B for the criminally insane. And don't think I'm not sending you there, fools. It's the law. Including color of authority, sheriffs. You bet. Enough.
Count to 10.
Sorry.
That would be 10 on you.
Yeah, that's my gift.
Nothing is foolish. Still got another shot. Public comment. You know like that?
Thank you so much for taking a vote and setting clear and asking for some wise
I saved a guy in the Twin Towers some time and then the OG of OGs with a yelling at me to let him
if
down.
the assessment is only
That's hardcore, huh?
and not also for needs
I got it, man. They
with
saved my
supportive
life.
services available to people during their pre-trial
You know what I
jail
mean.
time. The kind of services that you're preparing and beginning to sponsor just beginning for many other people. We're in a hazard of replicating, maybe compounding the economic and racial differences in who's released. In other words, if we test people not only for either what neighborhood or wherever, whatever high crime situations they're in,
No empathy or
we don't look
sociopathy.
also at what would help them succeed in the tasks of pre-trial, which is
You can't
show
clap
up
for
at company hazard values. By then, we're going to be
Stupid people don't even know the law.
the inequalities
It's the truth. I gave
that
home
have been
kids.
happening.
Really, only if I try to run
Whether
the
that can be in
thing,
the state's legislation, I think it's worth a
Why do you
try,
think they
and
didn't?
certainly the county would
I
be
think
able
he
to
said
supply
it.
that and hand that in, so that we're assessing the whole person, what helps them be first. Now,
I can see
move
the
to
film.
37, I've told you this, I wrote it
On my
last week.
website,
I like this
trobus.org.
quote from
One of my
Sheriff
latest
McDonald, who
charges.
seems to be
They say
kind
I
of
showed up at
halfway
this
with
meeting
me
at noon.
on don't build it
The
now, although
investigative
he
report
says
says
build it.
9:45. My
The LA County jail system remains the largest mental health system in the nation. It will likely remain so if an unfilled capacity
they
to
know it's
provide
coming down.
substance abuse and mental health treatment in the community is available. And that's from Sheriff October 2016. Most of you were here. What does that mean? To me, it means, well, heck, let's get busy developing that capacity. And then we'll be in a much better position to build a jail that is much more expensive because it provides for those people whom the sheriff said many of them could be out of the jail. It just doesn't make fiscal sense, or leadership sense to me anyway. Another point here is that how do you know? September 1st, 2015, I heard a bargaining session. How big should it be? 48-35, 38-35, 43-35. You folks were picking numbers out there based on some kind of hunches. And I appreciate that people are recognizing that we may do better and not need all that. But how about waiting, doing the investment and all the programs that you have begun, although at a very low level of funding, and where we are, kind of work, there's a lot of promise there. Do things now, reduce the MCJ population, make it a little safer, and then let's talk about facilities.
Thank you.
Can I just start with my personality on
So as
that?
we talk about regulations for commercial, medical, adult use of cannabis, well, that's a joke. Children use cannabis. It's all recreational. It's all for recreation. And no offense to anybody, but the civil rights of persons with developmental disabilities is a result of conditioned substance abuse of all kinds, including alcoholism. Incidentally, though, the federal and state rights, let's put it technically this way, the law of 1975 passed by Congress, 42 U.S.C. 15001, ETSEQ for the record, Mr. Lesser, if you're in your seat, for the record, what are the impairments involved with so-called options of implementing the so-called areas to incorporate appropriate medical marijuana? Well, nobody wants it. Nobody wants it near their schools. Nobody wants it near their household who have decent families. Decent families. Meaning all of you there, and all of you back there. You see, how do you stop police or the sheriff from taking your family member who's on substance, beating the hell out of them, and then sticking them behind bars. Because Congress enacted the Development of Disability Assistance of the Bill of Rights Act, it provides funding for programs and expenses under federal and state goal of legal human rights for all people. Now has Sheila Q, Ms. Hahn, Mr. Thomas, Ms. Solis engaged in providing us with the answer? Are they going to protect your family member, your loved one, simply because they made the mistake to get high? Feels good, baby! Yeah! Pass me the stogies! Yeah! Because that's reality. In my complaint today, I have for you this chair, Ms. Hahn, Ms. Solis, Ms. Parker, a different issue regarding DPSS and the way they deal with people, civil rights, who engage in so-called, what? Medical adult use cannabis. I walked into the DPSS with my client to investigate why he's being discriminated against. He smelled like Kush. And that Kush smells so fucking good. But I don't smoke it. He smelled like it. So now you deny him access to enter the facility? That's inappropriate. That's wrong. I want an FBI investigation, and I demand the Department of Justice and Civil Rights interview and investigate all of you.
Next speaker, please. Speaker, please.
Hey, it's the law.
My name is Reverend Dr.
You got First Amendment.
And
I have 7 pages of law. She's a liar.
Bail reform.
She didn't even know she was running Robert's Rules of Order. Got it recorded.
Although we don't understand why you continue to discriminate against African Americans and Latinos, and while we're still #1 in incarceration, yet you want to reform bail. So what you can do is start putting some preemptive classes beforehand, so that way that your sheriff's department don't continue to target the same race or people that fit the description.
I'm going to bring in all those
people that live in Beverly Hills and Santa Monica don't face the same jail time as people that live in South LA. That's reality. It's been like that for so long. So you want to change it all of a sudden? Let's see that. 18, that cannabis use. Why are you getting involved in something that you had literally no issues with beforehand? I'd rather someone be high off weed than meth, than opiates, than crack cocaine. This is naturally, when it's done correctly and grown organically. I represent Angela's Emeralds today. Is there any Angela's Emeralds, please?
Say 1/3 of Beverly Hills is low income?
There are so many benefits to cannabis, as we know. And if every one of you sitting on that board took a piss test right now, how many of you can pass and say? The reality is there is a moneymaker. Whatever it is to deal with a certain race to displeasure about, or whatever it is to make you more money. You have psych meds that are a billion-dollar industry, and it causes more side effects than anything. I don't see anybody committing a crime high off weed. They're too tired and hungry to do so. That being said, if you're going to use your Director of Consumer Business Affairs, who's internally people that are going to regulate something that should be regulated by the natives. You have outsiders right here in South LA. You have maybe 400 shops in South LA alone. Half of it is from outsiders. Half of it is full of chemicals that are not organic. But there is no regulatory. And Cat Packer, where are you when we need you right now? At this point in time, you need to involve Native people inside any talks or table of regulation of any kind when it comes to cannabis. A lot of our young people, they get high because they're tired of the nothingness that you guys are offering them. So if there's no education, if there are no resource centers, what's the best thing to do? Is to get high temporarily to numb the pain. So try to let's work backwards and stop trying to influence your people in something that we can regulate ourselves. Thank you. Thank you.
call the last speaker on multiple items, please.
1.7 billion over
Would
6
Darrell
years
Cruz
for
please come forward? He requests to address the board on items 18, 29, and 40.
$5,680 each. Janice says cabinet for members.
So let me tell you what comes after Mr. Cruz speaks.
It's actually 69 to
Almost 200 people have
89,000
signed up to speak on an individual item, so each will have a minute. And we're going to start with item 7, those who signed up to speak on item 7.
On the 69,000,
Will be called
it's 400
right
a
after
month.
Darrell
I
finishes.
could have put 26,000 people in low-income housing in a nice place instead of 3,300. Do you see this? 14? Only that much, 223 million.
I should have considered a franchise for a little company. I was thinking that's
There it is
a
in black
good
and white, huh?
idea. I myself tried to convince you to let me do business 13 years ago.
I used to read this stuff. You don't see it.
Before me, there were others, you know, in the 80s. In the 80s, there was anecdotal evidence
People are
of
ignorant to all that.
medicine and cannabis.
Remember Paws?
And it took a while, but they convinced a couple of legislators. They wrote a bill in the 90s, they passed it, and Wilson vetoed it. And then they passed it again, and he vetoed it again, they passed it again, and they vetoed it again, and they took it to the people. Sure enough, they voted it in, said there might be marijuana, I mean, there might be medicine in this cannabis. And then the cart went before the horse. Nobody did anything about medical cannabis except in a few areas. But they convinced some more legislators. In 2003, I believe it was Vasconcelos, brought another thing to get access to more people across the state. In 2004, I tried to apply that in LA County with those hateful bastards, the Board of Supervisors. I mean, the 5 asses in soil disease before you. They had nothing to do with it. And,
so I used to take spreadsheets.
we potheads, we did a lot to advance it. We thought that the stronger the medicine, the better. So we increased the THC through breeding and crossbreeding. We brought the THC levels up to 30%, thinking that was medicine. And then science got involved and was able to prove how much medicine was in there. And they do actual testing on it. They came up with the fact that there's a lot of THC in that cannabis. I mean, your $100 OG has almost 30% THC, but it has less than 1% CBD. Then the science came again, and they said, the medicine isn't the THC, the medicine is the CBD. So all of the stuff that they've been growing and making us useless for medicine. The industry figured it out, convinced the people that there's nothing wrong with marijuana. It can be recreational, like opiates and alcohol. Everybody can enjoy it. So there's no medicine in recreational marijuana. And in the medical marijuana stores, they sell the same thing as the recreational marijuana. My plea here is to allow for you people to grow 1,000 acres of hemp out in the Antelope Valley. They think CBDs from hemp is the way to go. Thank you
very much. Everyone else has signed up to speak on 7, 18, and 37. So Madam Executive Officer, please call the items except for 7, 18, and 37 so we can close off on them.
The items before you are 3D, 4D, 1, 2,